guys can read
Is
through
it the
this.
same
I'm gonna
one?
need one of them back though. Yes.
But if it's not in a 14 font, I can't read it. I still can't read it unless it's a 14 font with the glass.
I have to like read it out loud or something. I can do that. Yeah. So you sign one copy
Project.
and give it to me, and then you keep the other. Is it recording now? Okay. So just so you guys know, it's recording.
So, risk.
Oh, you want it?
I need to know the risk.
Yeah, that's probably. This looks good. Yeah. And it's at the. If you have it on MS, that means it's getting this sound. So I don't know if you want to change that. I don't know. Yeah, good. I think.
So where will this end up showing up at? In a book or?
So this will end up probably first on our website.
Okay.
Because we'll make a page for all the people.
Gotcha.
So there'll be clips from your interview, and we'll write out a little bit about your biography or
Okay.
whatever. And then eventually it'll all get indexed, so like
Okay.
cataloged in a program we use, and then it'll get sent to the UWM libraries.
So
Okay.
you're doing Washington Park neighborhood also, huh?
Yeah, we did Washington. Is it not
Is that
updated on there
Washington?
or
Is
something?
that Washington Heights or?
We did Washington Park
South of
2 years.
Elite.
2 years ago was our last.
Okay.
We were there for a while.
How'd you come across us other than Mabel? But so you went to Sherman Park Association.
Yeah,
Okay.
in Washington Park we had a lot of connections, and then
Okay.
so we got connections with people like Trumbull and Sherry. Do you know them?
What's-
Trumbull Robinson.
Mabel
Sure.
Lamb.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So she's with the SPCA.
Mabel Lamb is. She's executive director.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know Trumbull and Sherry unless I don't know them but their last name.
Yeah.
What's Trumbull and Sherry's last name?
Robinson.
Sherry Robinson.
Trumbull Robinson. Sherry Fuqua.
Not unless I see him.
Okay. Yeah, we work a lot with them.
Study the conversation place. So only one of us we need to both sign it,
Yeah,
or
if you could both sign just one of the sheets, 'cause
Okay.
I need one of them.
that's fine. You can have
Take
them
that one
both.
back. You got
Let me see it.
ink pen over?
Right, it all got cut off weird.
You need any water or anything?
No, thank you.
You okay, Carlson?
Not unless you need it.
No, I'm good.
So,
Right here.
you actually both need to sign both of these.
Okay.
Well, I guess, no.
We can.
Because
Cause this don't look like.
I guess you don't
okay.
need to sign your own copy, you just need to sign my copy.
Why do we need a copy?
You don't need one, I guess. It's just so you can go back and read through it. Yeah, so you guys can both sign there. And then we have to sign as well.
Here you go. I figure it's just information, and if you give me this, as older I get, the more it's like, where do I put all this stuff at?
Is it going?
Yes.
Are the levels good? Hello? Test? Test? Turn it up a little bit. Oh, okay. Testing?
You want us to say testing?
Yes.
But you probably need to turn it up as high as it can go, because if it's too low, you can at least turn it down.
That looks good. Right there.
Is that okay? Is that fine? That's if we keep talking this loud, though.
Bama's got a strong
I mean, to
voice.
say my voice is strong, but his isn't as strong.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's going to go above and below there, but just you want
You
that
talk.
kind of in the middle. Okay, so now I got to do the intro again.
Okay.
Hello. Today is June 12th, 2018, and it's now 11:11 a.m. And my name is Bella Bewer, and my partner is Kostin Tuzinski. And I am an undergraduate at UWM. I'm majoring in architecture, and we are both assistants to the VLC Field School. And we're conducting an oral history interview with Charles and Bama Grice at their home at 2802 North Sherman Boulevard in Milwaukee. And this interview will take about an hour. So I'll ask you general questions, biography questions, questions about your home, questions about the community, change over time. And then before I begin, we have to collect ambient sound of the room, so just be quiet for like 30 seconds. We're good? I think we're good. Okay. And I'd also like to confirm, before we begin, there are no risks to this interview except your names will be used. It is a public record. It'll be on our website, eventually at the library. So you should be aware of that. And again, there are no benefits except enhancing the knowledge and the research about the community. And so you have the right at any point to stop the interview or redact any or all of this information. You can do that at any point or at the end. And also, just because this is a joint interview, I want to note that you guys try not to talk over one another, just so that we can get the best sound recording possible. Yeah, so could you guys just one at a time begin by introducing yourselves, saying your name and a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Charles Grice. What else you need?
I'll keep going. Just say where you were born, where you grew up.
I was born here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, March 5th, 1952, at St. Anthony's Hospital. It no longer exists now. And that was right downtown near it's the medical examiners of Milwaukee right now. My parents was Jimmy and Catherine Grice. They moved here in Milwaukee around 1951 from the south, Mississippi, Fulton, Mississippi. And they had me in 1952. I'm the oldest of 8. 3 other brothers and 4 sisters.
Sorry, the chair's squeaky side. Okay.
I'm Bama Brown Grice. I am one of 7 children from Lula Mae Chambers. I have lived in Milwaukee all my life. I also was born at St. Anthony's Hospital, and I've been married to this lovely husband of mine. It'll be 35 years, and we have lived in Sherman Park for 27 years, and we have been proud parents of a son named Sir Grice, who's now a pharmacist at Walgreens. And we have continued to be community-oriented, working with as much as the community as we can, be at Sherman Park when it started years ago, and now as it still continues to hold up the banner.
Have both of you always lived in Sherman Park, or did you live in other parts of Milwaukee?
Other parts of Milwaukee.
So when did you move to Sherman Park specifically?
We moved here in September of 1990. September 6, 1990.
Into this house?
Into this house.
Sorry.
We moved away from 30th Street and Capitol, where A.O. Smith is in that area. I forget what they call the neighborhood, Franklin Square or something like that.
Franklin Heights? I don't remember what it was, but I know that McGee was our alder person. The elder McGee was our alder person. and then we moved here. But before then, I used to live in Highland Park Projects, and I used to go to Salvation Army Church. And when I was young, I used to sell war cries. Some of the older people know what they are in the same area. And I'd always said, I'm going to move over here. And that was in 64, 65, when I used to sell war cries. And during those years, the Highland Park area was the area where the riots came through and shut us down and put us on lockdown, that curfew that we couldn't go out. And it was down by 12th and Walnut, and it was by Wells Street Junior High School, which is now the Rescue Mission. And it was over by Channel 12 TV show.
Okay.
Do we need to stop there?
We can't stop it.
We'll just wait. We'll just let
Okay.
it ring for a sec.
A lot of times it's telemarketers.
Yeah.
Hi, you've reached the Grice residence. Please leave your name, your number slowly, and the date you call. A short message would be helpful. Have a great day. Bama and Charles. Much love.
Hello, Bama. It's Mary from the Home Show. Received your message, and yeah, my event's coming up, so you should come and get some. Give me a call, 414-690-0571. Again, that's 414-690-0571. I'm thinking probably on Thursday afternoon.
You gotta
I
type
should
it.
be around on that day, but give me a call. 414-690-0571. Could be Wednesday, late morning, to do my work.
No, man.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. I don't know. Before we get too into it, now might be a good time for the house interview or the house tour.
Okay.
That's okay. Sorry, you gotta take it off there and now.
He just did all this work. We can wait and do it so he don't have to do this again. Yeah. That way he won't have to keep fixing this back up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Unless it's a certain time you need to do it.
No.
No. Yeah. This was tedious. He's like, do you know what I went through to get this here? You good?
Yeah, we're good. I'm just trying to make sure, Charles, that we hear you enough.
That's what I was saying to him. My volume is high.
Your volume.
His is
good.
not.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna be okay.
Okay.
Okay. Could you start by saying maybe your first impressions of the community, why you chose this house specifically?
My wife, when we moved from 30th Street and Capitol to here, she went to a realtor and told him what we was looking for. And I'll let her elaborate from here.
The reason we chose this house in this neighborhood was because I've always said Sherman Park is the place where the people on the lakefront can't afford to come. And this is the second best. But it's really the first best because it's a variety of community and cultures. So I figured if I can't get to the lake, I can get Sherman Park. So I wanted to live in Sherman Park. So in doing so, we looked around for different houses, and I had a girlfriend. Her name was Zetta Bell, and she was in real estate. And I told her what I was looking for, and I said, I don't want nothing far away because I want to stay within our community. I don't want something that's newly that when we lived in the projects, if you breathe, the wall would come down. You touch the doorknob, it would break. And by heaven's sakes, don't get mad. It would be a hole in the wall. So I wanted something that we could live in and still have character plus quality. So when they showed us this house, I never forget the realtor that was selling it. They said it was too much house for us. This is too much house for y'all. And by them telling us that, we knew we'd get this house. We first walked in it. It was just gorgeous. It was three things that I wanted to buy the house for. We wanted a fireplace, a 2-car garage, and we wanted a basement that was done. But we also, extra things we wanted was 2 bathrooms. We wanted room where I could be in a room and he could be in a room, but we weren't in nobody's space. So what happened, we walked in, we had 2 fireplaces, working fireplaces. We had a 2-car garage. We had a basement that was wrecked with a pool table in it. And the lead glass and the chandeliers and the space was just so warm and breathtaking that coming from the projects and coming from houses with, 7 sisters and brothers that you never found a 4-bedroom, and to be on top of each other, we was loved. We had a good time. We didn't realize how small our house was until we really moved into here. And it was lead glass doors on the bookshelves and stained windows and just the touch of love. And that's what we wanted it. And so the negative was we had closed on the house, got ready to buy it, and somebody broke in. It was like, really? And they stole the lead glass doors off the bookshelves.
Mm-hmm.
All around the house, wherever there were some. They stole the chandelier that was up in the ceilings. And my husband said, "You really gonna let that stop you?" I'm like, I literally felt like, they raped us. They came in and stole the basics of what the house was. And I got over it. It was like,
I didn't see any of that stuff.
yeah, he never noticed
I
it.
never saw the stained glass, because when the realtor found the house, she gave us everything we was looking for and some. So when we walked through here, all this stuff was gone already. But it was so much more than what we had before, it was too hard to pass up.
It wasn't gone.
Yeah, it was gone.
No.
I never saw it.
It wasn't gone. Remember, they broke in the house after we saw it, and they called and told us that the house had been broke in. That's when it wasn't gone. Those doors was there. The chandelier was there, but they came through that back door. Then when they came in, they broke the door, they stole those off the door, and took the chandeliers.
So what we figured is somebody knew what was going on here, so they cleaned it out before we got here. So
Not what we figured. I know what happened, but since we're taping it, we'll leave that alone. So anyway, that's what I was missing. Those little lady things, the quirky, touchy things, you know what I mean? So we got it. We was fine. We enjoyed it, but it was the neighborhood. It was and as we lived here was things we noticed. You know what else we didn't want? We didn't want a house in an alley. Our garage does not point to the alley.
Mm-hmm.
Now that means we got a corner to deal with,
Yeah.
but that was nothing to having to dig out an alley or let the snowplow come in and plow you or not plow out the alley. So it made it so, it was just little stuff that most people will tell you living in Sherman Park you got to deal with, or living anywhere you got to deal with. So those were the perks. But another good thing about the house was, if you notice in our house, our roofs aren't flat. Most of our roofs have some form of a mounting, some forms of a curve, some form of a molding, something. They're not just flat roofs. The character. And then the hard wood that's in all around the house. There's wood all around it. We got mahogany in our dining room to die for. We have a sunroom that most people never even knew what they were. We have a den, which is normally a bedroom to some people, but a bedroom behind it. We have space. We have a real backyard that we can have a garden in. You can have a little patio back there if you would like. You can entertain family. And another interesting thing is radiators. Most people have radiators, but ours came with covers. Little stuff that people, until you get ready to start looking for a house and knowing what a house is about, you don't pay attention to. To have radiators with covers on them is rare. So we started looking at the things that came in with having a house that is of such of an aging and they no longer make. And now we'll go every now and then to the home shows and you'll see how people try to replicate, but the wood is not near about as good. We have hardwood floors. So when we first got here, it was carpet.
Everywhere.
Literally everywhere. In the kitchen, on the floor, everywhere. And so we start pulling stuff up and to see the real hardwood floors. And then you go somewhere and they'll say, we'll give you hardwood floors. And you see they're nothing but plywood. They put together. They put some type of a strip on the top of it and put a varnish on it to make it look glittery, knowing that for some reason, if a bunch of water get on it, it's going to dissolve. But if water get on ours, you can sand them and refinish them and still have a good floor because they're 4x4s, 2x4s, 2x6s. They're really woods that make the floors durable.
And we've been trying to redo. At one point, we was trying to redo every year a room. You know, it gets kind of, we get caught up in other things sometimes.
Costly.
But if you can tell, this was the original wallpaper. And it was all the way around, so you can imagine how dark this room would have been. So we kind of brightened it up, and it's gonna need another redo over time because this is old now, you know. This was the last room we did last year, and there, completely redone. And we sprung a leak because we have a flat roof over that my wife and I hang out in the summertime.
It's a porch.
Yeah. Got an awning up there so we can go up there and hang out. And we sprung a leak, so we had it taken care of. We thought it was good, and then it just reoccurred. So we think we got it taken care of again, so we got to go back over and touch it up. We did this just halfway. That still got to be done. We've never touched that room in there. Primarily, it's still got the wallpaper up there, but we always kept at least one wall with the original wallpaper, you know. And the kitchen, we did the floor back in the 90s. That's gonna have to be redone again. So, you know, it's an old, I say 1970s kitchen. You'll see it when you go through there, but you know, we've been formulating some ideas to update that too. We did do a bathroom down here, so you know.
But the kitchen, the problem with the kitchen is we want to totally remodel it. We don't want to just take out. So what we need to do is, you know, now I guess young people talking about the open concept. I want it to be where we can sit here and see all the way through that kitchen. So we have to take that wall out that you'll see, but leave the mahogany wood, but just open that up to the kitchen so we can see back through there. And another problem that we run into is every time you get one thing fixed, something breaks. And it's not cheap. And you can't have... How old are you?
29.
29, Mike can fix it, but his 79 grandfather or father can fix it better. Not that he doesn't know how, but he hasn't been able to teach him with the stuff that broke so he know how to fix it from the old stuff. He can only fix the new stuff that he knows how to fix. But his grandfather can fix the old stuff, but because they're getting rid of the old stuff, he can't show him how to fix the old stuff because the old stuff's been, everybody want to gut everything and throw it away. They don't want to say, let me fix it. You'll see a stove in here that's old in the wall. And he only can fix this if he's had a grandfather that showed him how to fix it. Can't pull a manual because the manuals don't exist anymore. This is like an old car. After the car, a 1909 Packard, you couldn't do nothing with because they don't even have the paperwork. But somebody got a 1909 Packard that the only person who worked on it before and taught their kids could work on it. So now they throw them away. But for the people who kept them, nobody know how to fix them. Or they want to gut it, keep the frame, but put modern pieces in it. And when you do that, it doesn't hold up because the steel piece that it's working with, that soft piece is not heavy enough to sustain the weight of the initial solid piece. You know what I'm saying? So if that chair is made of a silver metal and you try to put another piece of wood in it, the wood won't be able to keep that metal up because it's not heavy enough to sustain it. And that's what's happening now because these houses are made of concrete. When you take that down, that's not a drywall.
Yeah, we found that out when they was going through the bathroom.
Yeah.
It really had a metal mesh in the walls, you know.
And so redoing them is not as easy.
They was really pounding just to break up stuff, and I thought the house was gonna fall apart, but it held steady, you know.
It did, but we got cracks from it. By you hitting something, we got a crack that went upstairs from that room, and then when they did it, they damaged the radiator. So we had to get rid of the radiator because it was hitting it so hard to try to get rid of it. The spigot on the radiator pipe got damaged. And it's because they didn't know that you hit this, you hit that, you hit that, you hit that, you hit that, you hit that. The domino effect. And they went through, bam, and it just shattered.
Well, I mean, it's amazing all the work that you've done. It's a great home. I especially love this sunroom. We'll ask more about that later.
Yeah, we pieces by pieces by pieces. Yeah.
So all this, the woodwork is original?
Every bit of it. Nope, only thing that's not no such thing as not as original. That we had a real pretty chandelier in there. It was similar to that one, but it had a bunch of pencils. What do you call them? Pencils. Those the little drops on them. There, I used to know the name of them.
Yeah.
They're called.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyhow, this one had locks, just like the one in the hallway. They were crystal, and they took that down, and it was like, no.
And I really like the idea of keeping some of the original wallpaper.
We did. I thought that would be something to do, and I would keep and we did this one until the leak came, and it was like, forget it. But this one, we just pulled the wallpaper out of here, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But there's one on that wall I have. The back room, I kept one wall. So.
That's a cool idea. So, can you describe maybe more about your community involvement, like how you got into it when you first came into the community?
Well, my wife is really a community person, so she can really, she can go there.
When we first got here, I took a job at the Boys and Girls Club. And that was because I knew a friend of mine. I don't know if you've interviewed anybody else in Sherman Park, but Lee Kundi, who's the corner over. But Harriet McKinney her husband was my school teacher. And I started a catering business that I had for 11 years. Because my mom, who used to be over at Highland Park, would do a bunch of stuff. And so I said, well, let me start catering. So I started catering. And after I catered, I had did some events for Harriet McKinney. And the Boys and Girls Club had reopened to what it is now. And they needed somebody to teach a program to scholars in schools to learn how to do food service so that they could go out and venture and then work at that time, the Boulevard Inn. Are you from Milwaukee?
I'm from Northern Illinois, but I live in Milwaukee.
Okay. Well, people that lived in Sherman Park, there used to be the Boulevard Inn right here that they changed into the library because it caught on fire. Years ago, the Boulevard Inn was there. There was a bunch of different restaurants that were well-to-do. So we opened a program when I called them entrepreneurship, future entrepreneur, something to that. The plaque is on the wall at Boys and Girls Club. And they needed somebody that could teach young scholars from high school food service. And because I had catered and my wit, they hired me. And doing so, I did it for 5 years. And I was part of the Boys and Girls Club. And they used to do, we got all the kids trained. And I thought it would be good to get on the City Hall's list of caterers. So anytime the city had an event, they could come and do it at the Boys and Girls Club. So they would do breakfasts, and different community people, we would house them there. And these scholars, these high school students would, it was funded. They were funded that we would pay them on how to do food service. And through that, we end up opening up the back of the Boys and Girls Club and had a concession where if we weren't catering to get money, we ran a concession back there and downstairs. And we started selling deep fried drummies and cheese fries and different events down there, which got me to be community oriented. Well, my mother used to be in Sherman Park a lot and Model Cities. And through that, she met Ace Backus, who used to be the executive director over at Sherman Park. And she did a lot for Model Cities. So she started working with the community and getting different events going. So after they closed the grant with Boys and Girls Club, there used to be an alternative school that they started opening these choice and charter schools. The alternative school got started, which used to be right where the theater is now. It's closed up across from which is now the grocery store, but it used to be Leaner's. And then I worked there as an alternative school teacher. I taught home ec to them, and I brought the home ec class from the scholars that was getting credit back to the kitchen where we had classes where we served our lunches. So the school students, the 8th, 9th, 10th graders did the breakfast. I taught them to do that. And then the 10th, 11th, 12th graders did the lunch, which we did down at the Boys and Girls Club. I did that for a while, which still gave us community. We partnered with Sherman Park because through that, the Sherman Park started having block watches. They had them before. And right at the beginning, me and husband became a block watch where you would get in the car, take these little signs, put on top of your car, and drive around on certain weekends. And we did the block watch. So I got to know a lot of people from those 3 different organizations. So after that, I left there and I ended up going to other places, which was UWM. I worked with the FNEC program, teaching people how to make meals with their, at that time was food stamps, how to shop and do healthy snacks with that. From there, I went everywhere. I worked everywhere.
Worked at Sherman Park Community.
I went to Sherman Park Community. No, I went to Transportation Benefits. And then while I was at Transportation Benefits, that's when they sent me over to Boys and Girls Club, blah, 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 blah. Ended up at Sherman Park as a youth coordinator for the 10 schools in Sherman Park to get the parents to work with their scholars. And through that, Sherman Park was the host. And we would have monthly meetings with Sherman Park and 10 different organizations that we would meet at each one of them to get the organizations to come into Sherman Park. So we was at all 10 schools, which was not just public. It was St. Sebastian, St. Catherine's, at that time it was Steuben, and we got to work with those schools. While we was doing that, I became the person who worked with Washington directly. In doing that, the federal government said, we want to do something to help children. They came up with the grant that you had to write for, which was the Community Learning Centers. I don't know if you're aware of them, but me, Greta, who used to be over at Sherman Park, the executive director, and about 3 other people sat down and wrote the RFP for the Community Learning Centers. We got the grant, but they changed it and then named them Community Learning Centers. But we had to regroup them. And to regroup them, they changed the name to Community Learning Centers, and they piloted 10 of them. And piloting 10 of them, Jackie Robinson Middle School was one, and all these schools here could be parts of the Community Learning Centers where they got so much money. Sherman Park was losing their funding for the youth coordinator. Hence, Mr. Spearman, who was the principal over there, and Awita Williams said, because I worked with their schools, with their parent groups, and XYZ, said, we want Bama Grice to come and be our CLC coordinator. I left Boys and Girls Club, went to Sherman Park, left Sherman Park, went to Jackie Robinson as a community learner. The first 10 community learning centers that the federal government started running. We were the pilot. We worked with them, which caused Safe and Sound, which you're familiar with, got a program, and they came into our building to funnel. At that time, we was doing community. We found all the community. We had Pearls for Girls. We had Know Thyself. We had there used to be across the street, which is now a funeral home, was a girls' home where they would take care of young women. We had them. We had MPS Rec come in for parents would learn how to bop. We had a cooking class. All the stuff that Sherman Park could provide, we provided through the CLC. Sherman Park was our community partners because you had to have community agent. They were our community agent. Hence, I don't know how old I was then, which kept me into the brisk of community. From there, then I started training at Washington. We got scholars from Washington, and I became one of John Benson's, who used to be the superintendent, who Everett's is now at DPI. I became his parent person for the city of Milwaukee. They let me do what I want to do. We ran a forum out of Washington High School for all the schools and the parents to understand your community on what could the community give us. So if you had a different program going on through Sherman Park, we start letting the parents know ownership programs, how the children in Sherman Park could go to the club and do something, how you could go to one of the 10 schools and go to the CLC program, so that after school, up until 6 o'clock at night, the people in this neighborhood had somewhere to go. So we became more of a community opposed to before when we got here. The lady next door, Miss Love, she was there. She sold her house to another older company, and they got hurt. He got hurt from something. They moved. So we were starting to watch Sherman Park change in elderly to more youthful, which we were then. But we were coming with children, and they didn't know what to do with the children. So in doing that, the CLC with the 10 schools, we collaborated so that 6 blocks both ways jointed, and then the schools 6 blocks both ways jointed, and you brought them into each school. So that Sherman Park now know more of everybody. So I could go to roller skating here at the church, and 5 blocks down, the little kids could come, and I know them because of Miss Grice, because they mother and us, we did meetings at Sherman Park and at Washington with the CLC. And as it grew, the different schools start coming in or changing, or the specialty schools start coming. So Metcalf parents would meet Sherman parents, and I would meet the principals. At that time, it was Miss Koufax. The principal over there must have been Mr. Winters. And Sherman Park became more than just what we looked at it as the Jewish community. It became more of a cultural community. And Sherman Park Association was the hub because they used to have Sherman Fest. And in having Sherman Fest, they would have blues first. And then they started realizing it was more children. And they started opening it up. And then after a while, that playground area got put out there. It used to be just the wood and stuff, but now it's child oriented. And then they brought the tennis. Jimmy Banks would have soccer in there, and then the older guy, I can't think of his name, who used to teach tennis, and people from all over used to come and do tennis, and they still do. But it was community. Our young kids was learning tennis. Well, before they weren't aware of it. Then they opened it up to baseball, and you got the baseball field that they redid. But the neighbors started having the block watches we would have. So we started getting with Grant, the block behind us, and we would start caroling. We would have block parties, and we would go further down. And that's how we kept Sherman being a family.
The only problem that we noticed when we got here has been a continuing, the school system. So when we moved our son here, he might have had like 10 people from here, 10 guys he hung around with, and all 10 of these guys went to 10 different schools. Nobody went to the same school. Mm-hmm. So, we don't have decent neighborhood schools to go to. That's been the only problem in Milwaukee, with the education system.
Well, I won't say not decent. I would say because there were so many choices before you were made to go to a neighborhood school. And then what they did, which they shouldn't have did, they made specialty schools instead of letting them all be special. It shouldn't be that I graduated from West Division at that time, which was now School of the Arts. So if I wanted to do a bunch of singing and thought that I was going to be who wants to be the greatest star, or I got to go to West Division to hone that, when I should be able to go right here in Washington and have a choir. I should be able to go to Washington and have woodshop. I should be able to go to Washington and learn how to play an instrument.
But see, at one time, all the schools had this, You didn't have to leave your neighborhood school. You can just go to the school nearest you and, have the arts, woodworking, whatever, gym, baseball leagues, whatever. And that wasn't around when our son started going to school.
So it forced the parents to now make a choice of what was best for their child to go to. And unfortunately, it wasn't their neighborhood school. And since then, by that happening, by you having parents, and I will say parents in communities that wanted their child to grow and do better, you picked the school for them. And because we did not provide those services in the schools, we were forced to go out the schools, which changed the neighborhood the diagrams for having friends. Because if you go to South Division and your friends don't live with you, they got to get on a bus, and only maybe 3 of them get picked up at this stop. Another 5 get picked up down by King, and other 3 get picked up at Wauwatosa and get there. The neighborhood is gone as far as neighborhood collaborating. And so I think that's when Sherman Park started losing its community, because before you had the Jewish community where they went to their synagogues, they learned at their synagogues, and their neighbors was in and from and of the synagogue. And that's what initially, that's not what I came for, but I knew that was there. And as it slowly broke apart, so did the neighborhood piece. We still have great neighbors, we still have great things going on, but the problem we got now is a lot of those people have moved out, and unfortunately they are renting. And in doing so, you see the neighborhood now. You got foreclosures. You got people that got too old and couldn't sell them, couldn't get their money for them. And even if they couldn't get enough to buy a decent place somewhere else. So they just walked away. And then when they just recently broke the residency clause, you got the police, you got the fire department, you got the public schools. Now they can haul.
Yeah,
and that's what they've been doing, just picking up, leaving.
When we first moved here, we must have had about 8 police officers lived on this block here, between Sherman
and Grant,
and the other side over there. We still have a few officers around, but not like we.
Not because they want to be here. They trying to get gone, or they've retired. And the ones that's retired, a lot of them are leaving.
So, do you think renting is part of the problem?
No. I don't think renting is part of the problem, because people that rent need to have a place to go. I think the problem is you need to take time with who you rent to, because this house right here next to us in the back, he sold his house, and then people over there paid a pretty penny, but they didn't realize the diamond they bought.
First of all, going back, it's amazing that you were involved in all of that community building.
I ran for school board just to try to make a difference, but I didn't run for what everybody else ran for. I ran to change the board. I ran to let people know you don't have to have $100,000 to run. You don't. You got to know why you want to run and believe it, and run with that. I only had $32,000 in my coffer. The person who beat me had 180, and he only beat me by 200 votes or 2%. He had 2,000 votes. I'm like
citywide.
And it was citywide. So, but I got what I wanted out of it. The other reason why I ran is because I want people to say, If you don't have any kids in the district, you don't get to run. You don't get to be a parent that no kids, got a great job, and they're going to tell everybody what should happen. Because you don't have a child in there seeing what's happening and saying, well, for my child, I think this should happen. And the other reason why I ran was to let people understand that you have to understand there's work to be done. You can't just come here and say, I get a perk, I get a perk, I get a perk. That's why I ran. I lost, but I didn't look at it as I lost. I won what I went in there for. So now you have so many more young, intelligent, just common citizens that's running for political spots that understand. My motto was, it's not about me, it's about we. My other motto was, they always talked about charter this, choice this. You can't drink Coke in Pepsi's cafeteria. Don't come in here telling me about the charter school. I don't want to hear it. Tell me what you're going to do in this school. Make us the place where parents want to come. And stop spending a meeting talking about them. I ain't got time for that. And that's what I ran for. Mm-hmm. Has it worked? No. Do they want me to run again? Yes. Will I run again? No. Because they don't understand what it is they need to do. And that's not just for school board, that's for all of them. To make sure that the communities stay the community. Sherman Park is only holding up by the near grace of the community. We want it to be good. Mm-hmm. Politicians don't. They're only doing what they can. Let something happen and they all show up. Mines are great, I guess. But do I think that they're doing what they need to do for our area? No. They're doing for whoever can come and give them the best today, the flavor of the day. They're running for the flavor of the day.
You know, when we first moved here, they had this rail that they wanted to bring right down Sherman Park here.
Yep.
And everybody was so vocal against that. So, so now we got it downtown. I'm glad we have it because I appreciate stuff like that, but,
But it didn't need to be down Sherman Park.
At the time.
No, we still don't need it down in no Sherman Park. For two reasons. This is community. Downtown is entertainment, food, or resources where people go. Mm-hmm. I do not need a rail. I already have a problem with the stoplights that we hear when we sleep at 2 a.m. It doesn't bother me because I know that. Can you imagine a rail? Oh, no. I don't want no rail. It takes the beauty away from the neighborhood. I'm trying to get them to put the flowers back that we used to have on the boulevard, that they won't even do that. Give us oh, wow. It used to be so gorgeous, the boulevards. You could see iris and lilies and roses from one end to the other and just smell gorgeous. What happened to the flowers? Now they got a bunch of bricks with dug in spots with, I don't know what's in them. Not no flowers. That's the stuff that we moved here for. And it's not like our taxes have went down. So we still should get that. So, I don't know.
I would like to hear a little bit more about Mr. Grice.
What do you want to
Well, I don't know to what degree you're involved in the community, but maybe just what you do, what you've done while she's doing all this.
He's working at the post office for 37 years.
Yeah, that took up a lot of my time. But, and then, I was always pretty much joined at the hip with my wife, I'm a background person, She takes the lead a lot of times. I like to do stuff behind the scenes, so, it's not like I wasn't there. I was there, but, supporting her in her projects and vice versa.
He was being a dad. Mm. That's what he was. We had a son named Sir. And he was, if I had to go up out of town, because I did a lot of traveling, he would have his son with him, and he was a dad. He did all the dad things. His son can tell you he hooked him on the back of his bike when he was little and would ride him down to the lake or take him. Then he started taking him to talk. He would take him over to the bookstore and teach him how to play chess. And he was a dad. He would take him to Beckham's baseball that opened and teach him so that he could be in the baseball league with Beckham Stadium. He was a Pirate. That was the league he was on.
At any rate, it must have paid off because Thursday we're going to play golf together. So
He was a dad. He taught that baby everything to the point that every Friday he gets with his father. To this day, every Friday he comes and have breakfast with his father.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday he makes it his business to call us because when he went off to college, he knew you don't go days without talking. He calls us every Wednesday. Clockwork. How are you doing? We meet him at church. He got him to church on Sundays where he went to church. He was being a father. That's what he was being.
And now we have a granddaughter now. 1st of January, we became grandparents. So I get to see her every week, a couple of times a week.
And I don't touch that. I don't do nothing with that.
But she's busy now, so yeah. But it's all good.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I don't know, seconds.
But wait, I will tell you, he drives a school bus. And he has kids that love him to death. Some little babies made in picture and of the bus driver and the 2 babies that gets on the bus. They give him little baskets of stuff because he doesn't miss work. He comes to work every day, all the time. And when he miss work, they miss him. And they give him gift cards. And he is the perfect father and male figure that anybody. That's not me. I don't have passion.
She have all the passion, but
Not for kids.
But she work with kids,
and I'm good at it. But that don't mean I like them. But he loves them. He has the passion. He drives. How long you been driving school bus?
well, it'll be coming up on 20 years when the school season starts. But I love it. I love it.
See, he's just quiet. He won't say what he does. He gets up every morning at 4. We wake up at 4:19. 5:19, he's getting ready to leave out of here to go drive that school bus to get them babies to school. And he's been doing that 20-some years back and forth. And he took that job because he retired from the post office after 37 years. Was there all the time, worked the night shift. So I had the baby. Then when he retired, it was his turn to flip. And then he took a job so he would be on my schedule with the school system. So when I would be off, he would be off. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, he's been driving the bus for how long?
It'll be 20 years.
I have not been at no school for 20 years.
She haven't been anywhere for
Thank you.
more than 5.
More than 5. So he's stable. He does it. Me, I'm lucky to give you 5 years and I got to go. I just don't have that. And I hope this doesn't run too soon because the job that I'm at now, they saying, Ms. Grice get ready to quit. Yes, she is. But he's the housekeeper. He's Mr. Mom. He's the person who, if you need something, you see my lawn? He's the lawn. He's the snow. He's the man of the house. He's the father of the year. He's the husband for life. He just doesn't say anything.
I appreciate that.
He doesn't say a thing. But he takes care of me dearly. And his son. It's nothing he won't do or we can't have. He works for us to have what we need, and he does the things to make sure that we can get them. I'm sorry you asked him, but he won't tell you.
I don't like talking about myself. Yeah.
That's great. I want to bring it back well, I know you like cooking. You did the whole catering thing.
I don't like cooking.
She's a good cook.
Yeah, I just cook. You find what you can do to make money. I'm a very good cook, but I don't care for cooking. I'm a very good parent, but I don't like parenting. I'm great with kids, but I can't stand them. But I was taught, be good at what you're doing, even if you're a garbage man. Don't let nobody know you don't like it. I don't like nothing that I do, but I'm good at everything that I do. So I'm sorry. Back to cooking. Back to cooking.
So cooking, and you said you like to entertain in the backyard. Do you often have people over? Do you like host parties? or-
Well, no, it's not often, but a couple times a year, folks just show up. Now, what she will do every August on her mother's birthday, is her mother passed about 10, 11 years ago. She have family come over, and we have a memorial, get together that
people,
way.
whatever. But we were a member of ski club, and he was the president of the ski club. I was the president first, then another person, then he became it. And we're looking now, maybe you can help us. We want to redo our backyard, but it's hard to find somebody that will do it. And they want $10,000, $12,000. Yeah, just to do, you know what I mean? Lay some concrete so we can put a tent up, just so we can have a place to entertain. But he's in a book club. So they'll come over with these very high influential African American men in Milwaukee, and he meets with them once a month. And they read the books
Every other month.
Every other month, and so we'll have events in the back. Like you came over, we could right now go sit in our backyard, and I bet you 5 people will walk in that backyard and talk to us and be drinking with us before you know it. It's just what we are and how we do. You sit there, they will come. You know how they build it, they will come.
That's right.
They will come.
So my wife got this idea that we need to put a fence up so we can have a little bit more privacy for ourselves sometime,
He thinks I'm wrong, but you just be wanting to. But I'm telling you, we was out there just the other day. The man was fixing our roof. And 3 people pulled up. And the man said, a lot of people don't. I'm like, baby, not really. just because we community people who just, and Mabel will come over if I'm doing something. Vet across the street will come over if we're doing something. And don't try to cut the grass. You're going to be stopped 3 times because we live on Sherman.
And we lost a real good Sherman Park historian.
You know Jeff?
Left less than a year ago, Jeff Gurkowski.
He used to be on the board of Sherman Park.
Yeah,
We interviewed
great
him.
great guy.
Yeah, you did. And
Great
Jeff
guy.
passed. You know that, don't you? And I hope you got him before he was sick. Yeah.
Well, he was kind of.
He was going down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great guy.
Yeah. Really. And he'd been here some years.
A little bit after we moved here, he moved in.
And then Mabel bought his house. So we kept it. We kept it so we can try to keep it from not somebody moving in. We're afraid that people are going to move in and rent it. They're going to move and rent the spots. And we don't want that. That's what he does on the corner. He leases it to
He roomed
rooming
out.
house.
Yeah.
And that the grass don't get cut in
Snow-
and out.
Snow don't get shoveled.
Yep.
And all that kind of stuff.
So
And we know the past owners is probably turning over in their grave right now.
Ned Gaetti.
Because they love the place,
Yeah. He
Good
kept us up.
gardeners. Yeah, good gardeners. Great people.
We looked out for each other. We still do look out for each other. I mean,
Yeah, we all, for a couple blocks, look out for each other.
yeah, we're deep. We're deep with friendships. We walk through to see how things are going. We just, hi, how you doing? We try to introduce us. Anybody move in, we take a loaf of bread to them and introduce ourselves to them. Just hi, But it's hard because most of the people they work like we do. So you don't see them. Now, if we lucky, it used to be a bunch of educators and police officers. So the educators was off. Police officers were on and off. But now a lot of them are moving. They're moving, they're retiring, they're leaving.
Or passing on.
Or passing. So, but it's a good neighborhood. It's a real great, the houses it's a good and a bad. The good is they're sturdy. The bad is it costs to keep them that way. And to find people who can fix what breaks or cracks or And Sherman Park was trying to do something of fixing up that they would, help you with it. But you had to go through so many whistles and bells. It was like, forget it. And then we became historical. And once that happened, you had to have the exact brick that came out of that brick to replace that brick. But they don't make that brick no more. So now we got to go to Indiana and get that brick. and we got to pay for that brick to come here, and then we got to pay for somebody to put it in, and he the one putting it in, and he don't know how to mix the concrete to put it in because he don't know the brick. It's like, oh no, where your daddy? Bring me your daddy. Your daddy know how to fix it. Daddy retired. Daddy gone up north. He said, I'm done with that. But every now and then, Daddy will come back and say, I'll do this for you because you got such a lovely home. And all that takes time and money. So, but it's worth it. It's worth every bit of it.
So you're on your third question now?
Yeah, I'm looking
Of 20?
You've kind of covered most of the stuff.
Okay.
Could you talk about your favorite things about the neighborhood? So this could be like specific places where you go a lot, specific people.
Just the location. We're centrally located. You know, we like to hang out downtown. So when you go down there, like we almost considered moving down there. But we realize when you go down there a lot of times, even if you actually live down there, you have all those festivals. That constrains you, you know. So this way now, we just get a 5-10 minute ride, go back up the street, and we get away from all that. Down there, you wouldn't be able to move half the time when you got Summerfest, all the festivals, anything that they got going, you know. People all around, you know, like, for example, Third Ward. People complain that you had people when they get sloppy drunk from Summerfest, they be peeing, you know, in their doorway and stuff like that, you know. We're kind of removed from that. We can come here, shut the door, and, you know, just hear these noises from the traffic all the time and, you know, sirens. That's about it. Bunch of gunshots every now and then, you know. Folks shooting up in the air or wherever they shooting, you know, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, but that's about the extent of it.
But Washington Park have that, in the summer they have those different events of entertainment. St. Joe's have those events and entertainment. So we don't always got to go all the way. We can't to Jazz in the Park. You can hit those on a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and that can keep you filled up. We do go to Sherman Perk every now and then in the summer. We would go over there and sometimes have breakfast and coffee, so it's fine. Sherman Park, we can go and just walk. We'll just walk around in the morning, just ride our bikes just around. So the favorite thing about Sherman Park is Sherman Park. You could just, before my mother passed, she lived up there by the 3 churches. We could ride our bikes or either walk up there to see how she's doing. You got decent cleaners over here that's doing good. You got different, only thing that we're missing is a grocery store. You know, I really wish we had something like, and then again, it depends on the people who can afford it. I really would like to have not a Syndics, but maybe a Whole Foods, even a decent Pick and Save. You know, I wish that would have taken over Lena's, because Lena's was good and it started going down. But when it was Kohl's, you know, it was great. That's when it was Kohl's food store. And then it started going down from there. But I wish they would gut that store completely, give us some good fruits. It could have been an Aldi's. That would have been perfect. Now, I do go to the Aldi's on Hampton, which is fine. But had they put an Aldi's right here, the neighborhood would have just died, because we're more healthy people. We more fresh fruits, fresh salads, fresh meats, gourmet stuff, but not at all. Because you know Aldi's is owned by Trader Joe's. So we get Trader Joe's foods at Aldi's prices, because we're middle class. We don't have the Syndics every day, all day money. We got it every now and then, but we got Aldi's money, and you can get a lot of stuff the Syndics and them would have from Aldi's. So I think what we're missing is little things that they just cutting us off with. A good theater would have been good. You know, in Washington Park, they got those little 2 theaters. It's a great theater that would have been up there just to show the old movies or the quiet stuff, or, you know, different stuff that come in. Those 2 things we get here, people be breaking the door down to buy these houses, because you got your own little community within a community. And if we could get those 2, you know, again, I have nothing against the grocery store that's there, but it's not a healthy grocery store. It's just a store to run in and get some milk, and it's overpriced, and it's not healthy and it's overpriced. And that theater in there, years ago, that used to be one of the prettiest theaters. And that's why they haven't tore it down. The woodwork and the hard work in that building is just, the tile is just gorgeous. And if we could get those two, I don't know if they're going to do it at St. Joe's. I don't know if they changing it to, what, but that used to be a very good hospital where people go to. And since they've changed St. Mary's, people are leaving St. Mary's. And if they could have if St. Joe's could become a world-class quality place, that too would seal our neighborhood.
But that's the problem. Like everything, it's all moving out the city, All your hospitals, your great schools, everything is just, it's gone.
So you guys do spend most of your time in the neighborhood, not downtown?
We all over the place.
Like I said, we go everywhere.
Yeah.
Whatever is something happening,
Mm-hmm.
we go. We don't limit ourselves.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
But a lot in the summer, we do. But years ago, see, Sherman Fest used to have Sherman Fest. And so we worked on that, and we were looking forward to that. And then I guess they did a lot in Washington Park. But the problem with that is that, like all things, I don't want to say young people. I want to say parents not taking their child and showing them that you're supposed to enjoy this event and not be the event. And that's what's happening. Our kids, and I won't say kids because these ain't kids, these babies is 32 years old. They don't realize that we did not come to see you. You are not the event. You should come and enjoy the event and then go in your backyard and be the event. And that's coming in all ages. I don't know if you work around kids. A lot of the young kids, when they come, even at K4, K5, they got it. It's about them. See me, watch me, and it's like, no, baby, no. Take that home. Right now we're doing reading. See the book. See what's in the book. But they don't understand that. They think they gotta play with their shoe and take it off and let you wear it. Just little stuff. And as they grow up, that same "it's about me" mentality that is not destroying, but it is deterring a lot of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have a much younger sister, so I know.
Okay, how old is she?
She's 9.
Okay, what school does she go to?
She lives in Illinois.
Okay, is she? So she's in fifth grade.
She's going in 5th grade.
Yep, she's in 5th grade, and the competition is fierce.
We're part of Illinois.
Woodstock.
Woodstock.
She's going to Woodstock.
Okay.
It's fierce.
I'm not familiar.
It's by Crystal Lake.
Crystal Lake. Okay.
And with and she's a girl too. Oh God, they're a whole lot more mature. They think, and they get a whole lot more than stuff that they don't need, and then they think you're supposed to give it to them too. They don't know what no mean. They almost have a fit. You tell them no. No, you can't go get water right now. Oh my Lord. But I think we need to go back to parenting. We really need to go back to parenting. Before, again, like I said, my husband took care of my son or I took care of my son. The school didn't raise my son. The after school didn't raise my son. The neighbor didn't raise my son. A lot of that is happening with our kids. We're sending them somewhere else to be raised because you got 2 jobs or your job is so demanding. You heard how I talked. I was always doing this. That was work. So who was with my child?
Mm-hmm.
So we just need to make sure 2 parents. A lot of people don't understand that 2-parent piece.
Very important.
Mm-hmm. And we're losing a lot of that too. A lot of that. I must say we're blessed for our little strip. Most of us are dual parents over here.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids is, respectful. The few of us that have them, a lot of them don't even have them.
Yeah. Kids are pretty good.
Yeah.
Grown kids now, but, they are doing their own thing, a lot of them, which is good. Mm-hmm.
time are we at?
You've passed. You're 6 minutes over your hour.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
So,
12:15.
We set aside 2 hours.
Okay.
12:15.
12:15.
Could you describe maybe some like specific memories or stories you have about the neighborhood or events that were really important?
You go out talk too much.
No, I'm kind of thinking that. Yeah, the Sherman Park festivals we would have up there. They would have blues, just different events that really stood out, and everybody looked forward to that. People that didn't even live in the neighborhood would come to it because it was such a great event every summer. You know, and that died down. I'll say at least 10 or 15 years ago. You know, but we look forward to that.
Where is that?
That's right up the street. That's Sherman Park right up there.
This corner to
Well,
that corner.
Yeah, that's Sherman Park. You know, Washington Park is this way. But,
You have a question? Go ahead.
Why did it
Decline.
probably funding. I think
Okay.
funding, because you know if you got a musician like Buddy Guy, we all know Buddy Guy. You know, a blues guy, that costs money. You know, so you got to have sponsors to pull that off. And I don't know. I don't think they take a whole bunch of money, but still, they got to get something. I would imagine.
And it was funded through block grants down at the city. Each, you had land, you got Metcalf, you got Sherman Park, you got different communities, and they would get so much funds to do different events and keep the doors open. And that's what kind of stopped it from continuing on at the level that it was on.
So one of the big themes we're looking at is caring for, I guess more for the environment than for people, your house, your yard, your street, the community as a whole. So could you guys maybe talk about, we've kind of gotten it so far from what you said, but like, how do you care for your home and your community? Why do you care? In what ways specifically do you care?
Well, we care because we live here. That's important. And, Bam and I, we take the thing that if you move into a place, you want to make it better than it was when you got here. And that's what we've been trying to do, So that's pretty much our thing, Make a place better than it was when you got here.
Sherman Park has flowers that they sell every year. And we would go and buy flowers, and anybody could buy them, and they would be out on the sidewalk on a certain Saturday. Matter of fact, about 2 Saturdays ago that they had them, that you could buy them. And we would always make sure but not just me. If you notice, these 4 corners, we hold it up. We hold them. Now, I'm always late when I ain't put mine out yet. But my excuse is...
One of the reasons we're trying to paint up the outside here, so we got flower beds here, and you don't want to be stepping all in the flowers while you're trying to paint these windows, had these windows redone. So.
And the other one, my last day of school was just yesterday, so I can't get up in the morning. Both of those ladies are retired or work day jobs or whatever, or they got somebody. And so I won't do nothing to mine until maybe as we finish painting this up and getting it done. But I think we care because we care. That's why. We care because we really care. And we care about what goes on next door. And next door. And if everybody watch next door and next door, so like, if we can, we move their snow when we move ours. When we water our flowers, we water theirs. When we pick up paper, we pick up this side and that side. We care, And I think the biggest problem with Sherman Park is that I think when you move in here, if you know what it was, you know that you want to keep it.
And the thing about here, it's a great neighborhood, but you got so many passer through people, and they can kind of disrupt things sometimes. But all the neighbors are great neighbors, They love the neighborhood, they care about their homes and everything, and they're just great people to be around. You know, everybody gets along. It's just the
Outsiders.
transients that come through all the time.
Yeah.
You know, you go 3 or 4 blocks any direction, and it can be like a third world country sometime, you know. But we got our little core niche here, and it's working.
Okay. And then again with the caring, what do you feel the people in the neighborhood as a whole, what do you feel they care about most in this community?
They property.
Mm-hmm.
They care about their property because our insurance go up. We have our cars parked out, and most of our cars, they're not, the best, but they're not the worst. And we care about our property because first thing we notice is how they raise our taxes up. And it's like they try to make us sustain it for the rest of the neighborhoods, But then they'll drop the property tax, they'll drop the value of our house, but still the property tax is not that low. And most people here care the fact that, what can I do to keep my house of value? So that's why you see so many people scraping and painting, putting out flowers, putting new, out, and redoing their fences and bringing beautification. Mm-hmm. You can't see much inside, but it's 9 times out of 10 a house that look bad on the outside don't look decent in the inside. And so we care by showing how we appreciate what our house look like. Have you walked down this block or rode down this block? If you look at this block, Sherman I'm talking about, the only block that may top us is 51st. It's 51st. And I still, not to be biased, I still say we're better than them as far as looks. And it's because we're a brighter block. It's brighter. They got trees that make theirs. So in the fall and stuff, theirs look really pretty when it's the fall. But in the summer, our pretty flowers, our grass is cut good. Our hedging, not ours, but everybody else's hedging. It's just what we do because we're proud of what we have. And it can go all the way far down as Capitol. It's some glitches, and I think this will go all the way far down as North. It's some glitches because you can tell the homeowners opposed to, but you got some people that rent that you go out and they're still sweeping in the morning and they still picking up the chips that somebody done dropped or the beer bottle. You wouldn't believe how many fast food bags and garbage we get that has nothing to do with us. It's just people who don't care.
Every day you got to go out there and pick up trash.
But we care. We don't leave it.
In some of these houses, especially that I noticed one south of us, are so big that, the people over the years have maybe, don't have the financial means to kind of keep them up. So they kind of, need a little help that way. But a little tender love and care, but some beautiful homes,
So you think the renters in the community also care? Or is it a different kind of...
I think they care, but they can't afford it. And their homeowners are 9 times out of 10 out of state. And when you tell them that, my front door is broke. To get this front door fixed, I can't call a decent person. I got to call Lisbon Square and Storm. And they backed up so far to get to me that it might not be till December that they can come, order the part, and put it in.
But it's got to be a special door.
It's got to be special. And then if I'm in Florida and then I tell you that, you're not going to just give me a blank check to fix it. And I can't fix it. I can't afford it. It's going to cost $700 to get that door fixed. And because we're historical, that's the only door you can put in there. So the renters don't have the financial ability or the say to do it. And so it's not that they don't care. It's that I think the people who rent are not as considerate and helpful, and they know what it took when they were here. And a lot of them might be going out of town when they call them, so they don't get to them.
It's a strange thing. It seems like on this side of Sherman, most of these are like single family. On that side, it's more duplexes, you know. And I think we don't know a lot of the people on that side. You probably got a lot of owner-occupied places over there, but they got to rent out the other part. You
A
know.
lot of them are renting. I know 3 people on that side. That's it, and they've changed since then. Well, 3, because one of the kids at my school live across the street over there, and then you have the guy from what's his name's party that's been there for years. And now we got Mabel.
So the owners are living in like the first floor and renters upstairs.
Quite
In some
possibly, or
case.
vice versa.
In some cases, they both rent up and down.
I had one more question to ask about, since this is a corner house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've had people that really enjoy living on the corner. So I just want to know like your perspective on like how is being on the corner different? How is it good? How is it bad?
Well, I think the good thing is being on the corner.
Be on the right corner. We on the right corner.
Yeah, we don't have this bus stop here, so we don't have a lot of lingerers on our corner. But it just seemed like to me, for security purposes, it's, you know, you don't have anywhere to hide if you want to do something, some devilment, you know. The downfall, the worst part about it, is there's a lot of snow to shovel and grass to cut. So, you know, that's the downside to it.
Because you also get a lot of nice light and
Yeah,
If you on the right corner.
we get all the
Yeah.
sunlight
Yeah.
too, right?
See, that's the advantage. The right corner is we're not at a bus stop. So we don't have people sitting on our steps. We get good sunlight, so our grass and stuff get green. And then when it snows, it melts fast.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
we're on the good side of it. I would rather be on the corner than in the middle. Because we ain't got neighbors but on one side. Yep.
that's all my questions I have written down. Do you have any?
What you got,
Sorry, now
Cost?
it's, putting you on the spot.
Well, is there anything, after answering all the questions that Bella's prepared, anything that you'd just like to share about anything that we've talked about, anything that you'd like to be heard in this interview? It could be about anything. Anything related to living here, Milwaukee, a story, anything.
What I would like to share is the Sherman Park riot or whatever thing it was. It was an eye opener for me.
For most everybody. I mean, we even have people called. I got a cousin in Cleveland, and he called here, and he didn't realize it was that close to us. But, you know, they marched down to about almost right in front of our house. And that was the extent of it, you know, where they was pushing people back. And from what we understand, a lot of these people were outsiders, you know, maybe even came from out of town just to raise hell, you know.
And unlike him, me, I like to see. I want to see, and I want you to see that I see. So I sat right out there on my steps, and what I didn't like, there was good and bad. What I didn't like was they didn't have to do it that way. They brought all that mess. The police brought all that mess because they could have shut that mess down right up there. They could have stopped that mess right there. They didn't have to make those kids think that, oh, they here now, so let's see what they got. And both sides said, we're going to show you what we got. There was no need for big Hummer tanks that you put in a freaking war come down. And what happened, they came down this Hadley Street, and right now, if you see, Hadley Street is crumbled because it was so heavy. So now we got little mini potholes. That street needs to be literally redone because of the weight from the bus that they parked right here and that heavy equipment. And now we're the ones that got to deal with it because the potholes, the asphalt, the unevenness. And I want people to understand that we as community, we weren't scared. I mean, literally, what was to be scared of? It happened. It stopped. It was done. Why didn't they come put it out? That's my question. Why would you not come put out a fire?
People was concerned about maybe their properties being burnt and all that, but it seemed like they wasn't concerned about residential as much as it was businesses. So, yeah.
Or what they were concerned about. Now, you got a big old Jeep trunk. You got armor on. Couldn't nobody shoot you without you shooting them. You didn't care enough about our property because that place could have exploded. And all that stuff could have went either way and damaged a whole lot of unnecessary stuff. When they could have just shut it down. Let the fire department come in and close it down. Well, nobody going to shoot at them people. And that's what I think the city didn't look at us, respect us as taxpayers. Because I bet you that Shorewood's fire wouldn't have went that long. Fox Lake's fire wouldn't have went that long. Lakefront fire, it would not have went that long. And I think that they look at Sherman Park as not being the Sherman Park of quality and decent and middle class parents of what we represent. We really represent the blue collar, the white collar, the professionals, the bookkeepers, the teachers, the firefighters, the babysitters, the nurses, the doctors. All that is here. Mm-hmm. And it's like they just said, the hell with them. Let it burn. And that's what made me so upset. They didn't care enough to stop it. Because why? Some kids, some teenagers?
We have a neighbor live across the street. They was in Michigan. And
Mike.
And he said he just managed to turn on the news or something and said, wow, that's in my neighborhood.
It's in your back door.
That's in my
neighborhood. His back door.
You know.
They called us. We got you covered, Mike. You good. Yeah. We fine. And that's what we do. And it's not a black and white thing. This is us as neighbors who care. And so what I wanted to say that wasn't said was, we are family. You know how you got some family members you don't know? Cousin George and Auntie Susie and Aunt Mary. You heard of them, but you don't know them. That's what we are. We the Miss Rouse, the Miss Rosses, the Miss Grices, the Miss Lamb, the Miss Robinsons. We all family. We don't know each other, but we know we connected. And I think they need to realize that Sherman Park should be connected and considered and looked upon just like all of your other well-to-do neighborhoods that you call your so-class, high class, that we deserve the same respect for. We're losing it because the clientele is moving in here, but it does not mean that we don't deserve just as much. We're the same clientele, just different faces and different finances attached to it.
So why do you think the authorities don't view Sherman Park the same way?
Because it's changing. It's a change in Sherman Park. The helm has changed. A lot of the Jewish people have moved out. So the ones who used to be down there in their ear, they don't have them no more. You got a lot of politicians now that's just trying to make a name for themselves to show that we are credible. When you got the old ones, the ones that's grassroots that say, you got to wait your turn. No, you don't wait a turn to get what's due to you. We deserve having cameras if they should be here. We deserve to have flowers in our bed if they do here. Not that I'll vote for your flower if you vote that no more than 2 kids can be in a group.
We had a number of politicians,
they're dying now,
block and this block
moving,
moved out or
stopping.
Died,
we don't have them anymore. So we're losing the regime that used to be the seniors in City Hall. And we're getting younger ones who trying to get it, but the ones that was there before got it, and they don't believe that we're supposed to get what we got coming because we don't have an old head representing us. So, but that's all right, because when he really pissed me off, old head will show up.
In the long run, do you think that what happened in Sherman Park a couple of years ago, do you think that will cause a beneficial change in the future? Or
No.
Do you ever think about?
No.
No.
This right now is just the new thing on the block. This is the flavor of the day right now. Sherman Park is just the flavor of the day, so people can say, we did this, we did this, we did that. 2 to 5 years ain't going to help it. They got to do 15, 20 to make this work. You can't open an incubator over there and get these young people started with good businesses and let them know that they can work and only get them 5 years. Because you know and I know it takes 10 years for a business to get off its feet where people know who they are. And these people keep them open for 5 years. But after the 5 year and a day, where are they going to go? And those are good. Like I said, they need to give us a real healthy food market in here that people from Lakefront, if they over here visiting at Sherman Park at the hospital, they'll stop and get their groceries. They got to give us a good theater over here that maybe Gone with the Wind may show one day because it's historical month. Maybe they'll say, let's do old movies. So people from over there will come over here to see it. We need something that's sustained. We don't need quick fixes. These are quick fixes that they're building now. They're good.
That's what they kind of talk about a lot of times when they talk about the neighborhood. They talk about Burleigh, Center Street, North Avenue, and the businesses that, once was, or they trying to get to come back in here. If you go up and down these streets for a couple blocks, you can see that there's a lot of boarded up, businesses. So,
that library
that takes
was
away.
There. What was the name of that library? Center Street Library. They closed it and put the new one here.
Oh, you talking about Washington Park?
Yeah, it's Washington Park Library, but the one before that was Center Street.
No, the one before, Center Street is that way. But they did have the old Washington Park is down here, and somebody's been trying to do something with that.
For the last 30 years.
But then
Are you talking about the old Finney Library?
Yes.
Okay, that's actually where we're stationed out of. And the guy, I don't know what was happening before this, but Matt Goldman, he just bought it.
Again, from the lady that had it?
Yeah, I don't know. He's had it for maybe 3 years.
He's there's some local Korean businesses.
Mhm.
On the corners, you mean, right? Moving in?
He was trying to do I don't know. He had a lot of ideas. He was going to do an arts incubator.
Right.
Kitchen.
That's
He
right.
lives right down there. So.
What happened to it initially was they closed it out and MPS was supposed to get it and make it a parent center. So that anybody, that's when we was up doing things. The parent center could come in because they said that parents, we can't talk in the schools because we feel like they talk down to us. So they were supposed to put a parent center in it and run it for different regions. That was going to be the 4th region parent center. Politics shut that down. Then Walgreens said, "Hark, we'll buy." I'm telling you, I unfortunately, I don't know why I know all this business. Walgreens will buy it. No, we don't want the people on 24-hour coming in the really. So now we don't have no Walgreens. It's a dead sore, and you got that sitting up there. Then they said, okay, this lady got it. She said, we're gonna get it and put something in it. She started digging
like you
up
say, arts. It was supposed to be arts and something else.
and now it has been sitting empty and empty
You say you working out of
and
there
empty.
now?
They rented a space out of there.
I don't think we're renting. I think we just use it because we made a connection with the owner.
Okay.
But I know it's going.
Slow.
He's really dedicated and he's got great ideas. He just doesn't have money to do it. He's paying
Right.
for it all himself.
Yeah,
And so it's just going slow.
yeah, it's been slow.
That's just like the restaurant that opened. Remember that big restaurant that opened down the street, not far from it? There was a restaurant that opened about 2 blocks down. Big restaurant. It was almost like what was the restaurant?
Oh, that drive-through.
Yeah, the
type?
drive-through. Doing really good. The guy used to work at Sherman Park opened it. Ran out of money. Good ideas, but if you don't have money to keep them open, they fizzle out. So what that's all these people are doing is giving these people some hope. And if you're not giving them money to keep it open, because you cannot bank on the clientele that's living here to keep them open, because those are the people who get jobs and they close. Ever since A.O. Smith left, this area has died. It was an ongoing, decent job for housing, and it spread it out 12 blocks each way. So everybody could keep what they wanted. They could get a burger for their kid, go to the park. You can't do that no more. There's nothing. So this is just the flavor of the day. In 5 years, we don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea what's going to happen. I think it'll make it, because it didn't sustain here because of businesses. it was homeowners that owned businesses. You had people who owned this house, from the dude from Journal Sentinel, next door, the dude from these used to be movers and shakers that owned these houses on Sherman. So they didn't need the neighborhood. They just want somewhere peaceful to come to live.
What I found out is that house that Jeff lived in, there used to be a cement company called Tools.
Tools, yeah.
Here.
He owned it.
And they seemed like they had a little area over there on that North Avenue, where you kind of go around that emblem of a.
Mm-hmm.
They used to always. It was a patriotic, like.
Veterans.
Yeah.
You mean down
symbol,
by Locust?
Flower symbol that they always had, and you just kind of come down North Avenue and had to go around it before you.
You know what it is? COA. Where COA is right now, Children's Housing Association on Holston.
Yeah.
But you come around and you be by the Pick and Save, and you see the lake, the stairs you would go up. You know where we talking about?
Humboldt.
Y'all know where it is. You just don't see it.
The hill.
The hill.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be a big old circle full of flowers for years. Just gorgeous. And then it slowly deteriorated.
And I drove by there recently. It seemed like somebody must have been driving a fool and tore the fence. So the fence is just...
Yep.
You see a lot of that these days. You know, light poles, fences,
Yep.
you know, shoot cars going through buildings, you know, but that's the way it is now, so...
Well, years ago, the stuff that they hit, it wouldn't go down as easy.
But anyway, Tools
poles.
had a little depot where they parked their trucks, and I can't understand how you can park those big cement trucks in about a small area that they had over there, you know. And that was just one of their spots. But he owned that house over there.
So, but I don't think it's nothing that we could think about. Is our tape used up yet?
No, there's a certain amount of memory. So we have 27 minutes left.
You got another place you got to go to today? Or?
This is all we have today, so we only have 27 minutes left in the recording. I still would like to do the...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll give it a tour. We fine. I just didn't want him to have to redo this up. So when it was finished, y'all be done, instead of have to sit back
You
down.
don't have anything else?
No,
I think we're good.
yeah.
Okay.
We don't like dogs. We don't do dogs, okay? I don't mean that.
We used to.
Make a note of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just saying that to be facetious, whatever it was to talk about. But
You're the sound
So, as we walk around, I'm just gonna hold this out in front as you describe what you're
Well,
telling
I guess
us. Yeah.
I guess while we're in here,
we start in here.
yeah, we'll just start in here, I guess.
What's the deal? Okie doke. Initially, there used to be lead doors on these cabinets back here. They were removed when we closed the deal on our house. We kept trying to get places to put them back, and I thought, forget it. Used to be a chandelier up here. That was prisms. That's what they call prisms. It must have 1,000 prisms on them, on the chandelier. And then as we used to have carpet in here, we got on our hands and knees one day, and I thought, I want to get this up. And then I stripped the floor. And if you see, you still see a little bit of what the floor looked like. You see that dark brown right there? That's the color this floor used to be. And we stripped it totally back to its natural wood. Then we have the sunroom right here. The sunroom, you see this right here? This is that leak that we was telling you about. That's on our flat roof upstairs. And it came through the concrete. And so we redid this room in here. We pulled this carpet up in here also. Stripped it to its bare minimum.
So look, seeing from the rain, we didn't notice anything coming in here with all the rain we've been having. So I guess we would start scraping this down again
We hope.
and repainting it.
Because last August is when we first did it, and we thought we were done. And we noticed it was just right here, but before it was all over here. So we redid that, stripped it down. Those are this one here, we cleaned this radiator up. Did we paint that? I don't think we painted it.
that was painted.
Yeah, and we redid this room, and we have these windows open out, but because we're on the corner, we kept our storms up because we don't want nobody to come in on us. But we're scraping from the outside, scraping to get ready to repaint it.
Mm-hmm.
This we all this woodwork we repainted, making like what it was. But before it was like a green. It was
More
this
like
color.
this color.
Yeah, it was this
Dark,
color.
we dark.
All it was this look like all this in here. This is what it
That's
was.
interesting.
Mhm.
And I never knew what it was, but couldn't find it. But we made that darker. And so then you come into the dining room, which is mahogany wood, like we said. We kept a wallpaper. This is the wallpaper that was on here
See,
when we
look
got
how-
here.
What you say this is around 1920s, 30s, 40s maybe?
Something old.
It looks old.
I'd say that's 40s.
Mhm.
Yeah, and like that one over there is the one that we kept for that one. And then as you tell all the details with the, I wanted to have somebody come in here and paint the colors of what it was, but I came home from work one day and he'd already done it. So,
It's got to be redone anyway.
but this is the mahogany. These are the doorknobs. All of these had a real pretty lead glass on them that had these lilies on them and both the pictures. And they stole those, took those out. And so we just left it the way it was. And this is we're gonna go on the other side. This is what I want to keep, but this I want to knock out so we can go that side and have that side of the kitchen. So this floor we pulled up also and made hardwood.
It's great that you're keeping that wood because a lot of people, you
Yeah.
know,
Thank
how
you.
a lot of houses have this stuff
Yep.
along this wall and they'll
Yep.
tear it all out.
Oh no, that's not going nowhere. We keeping it, and it'll be where they'll see on the other side. There'll be a bar right here that if people want to be, and then when you come in the kitchen, this is the floor that when we first got here, it was carpeted.
Yeah.
And if you look up, you see there's
Now,
wallpaper.
who wallpapers a ceiling, you know?
Somebody.
I like
Yeah.
it.
And it's wallpaper. I liked it too. That's why I kept it. And this was all wallpaper in here. So we painted that, and we kept this one wall of wallpaper. And we went around, and we had this one. I didn't know no better. I used a small tile, which when we redo it, it'll be big tile. But this is the stove I was telling you about. All this is built in. This is old. Now in my basement, I have the match to this that was there, but they pulled it out and had we since changed this top right here. But this is what I want to take all this out, and you'll see the other side, and I'll have the piece come down, the vent come down. So all of this I want out, and then you can see over. So,
You know, one of the things we say, why haven't we redone this a long time ago? Or my wife liked these sayings
yeah,
on here, but they can be put back up here. But everything was still working, even that
dishwasher.
Now, we've been here almost 30 years, and that thing still works. And it does a great job.
And we went to other people's houses, and we still have a bigger kitchen than most people.
So it's like, if it's, why mess with it if it's still
It was
working?
fine as far as I was going to see. Like I said, I'm not a dainty person, so I'm not one of them that, oh, my kitchen needs it. No, it works. We use it. And then they had this aisle here. So, again, if you go to other people's houses, their kitchen stops about half this amount. And then they don't have a room to put.
Staircase.
Yes, they got an upstairs staircase that takes it, and their aisle is right here for their cooking. And they just got a little bit back there, but they don't have near about this much room. And then they go straight into their like dining room, living room. So we just had, for some reason, we had the room. So if you go around here, this leads up to our upstairs. So most of our bedrooms are upstairs. We have a bedroom there where I made an office. Our top bedroom is here, which leads out to the sunroom. I'll show you outside when we go. We got a bathroom over there that we had redone. We got a crawl space in that room, and we got a cedar closet upstairs. If you go upstairs here, we got our whole attic that we have our air conditioning which comes in. Now if you come around this way, this is the room that, again, we kept the wallpaper. We kept the wallpaper on one wall. This wallpaper wasn't here. So we tore all that down, and this is our spare room that we worked on, but we didn't paint because we wasn't sure what we wanted to do with it yet.
It's unique that they have this in a bedroom.
And it was a bedroom.
Yeah.
And so we changed it and made it an office. And so we just turned around and took it back into the bedroom because we didn't have no bedroom down here. So if somebody wants to come visit us, that can be downstairs and not have to be upstairs. Because
And
most
we
of our
did have
friends,
some African friends that almost demanded that they wanted to stay with us, so we had to scurry to
said, okay,
convert
we'll
back to a
move to the
bedroom.
bed.
We
This-
still
This
Yeah.
is, go on, husband.
go ahead.
This is a picture. We went to Hawaii and it was a puzzle. So we put the puzzle together. And I don't know how long it's been. And we just had it framed. And naturally, we haven't put it up yet, but we at least, it was in the basement for years. When did we go to Hawaii?
2013.
2013. So we put it on the table in the sunroom, and everybody worked to get it together. We finally got it together. We put it in the basement after we got it together, and then we said, okay, we starting to clean up. We got to move it, so we got it got it framed, and we're gonna. I think it's going in
Over the
here.
bed, yeah.
Yeah, over the bed. So we just slowly mosey around getting, and this will lead us outside. We'll show you where outside is. So what's good about this house is clothes shoots. They work.
Yeah.
Real clothes shoots. And so then we had the bathroom here, which we just had this redone. Let me blow out my candle that we usually just have sitting here. We just got this redone.
This was subway tile before. You know, the old subway tile
A
and
little bitty.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is where the furnace
The
was,
radiator
the
was
radiator,
there.
and they hit it, and we had to get rid of it. And then in our bathroom, because we're getting older, we had the seat put in it. So if you
Go ahead.
you come on in,
That's really nice.
yeah.
Stella.
So my son said, "How you got a 21st century house bathroom in a 19th century house?" Told him, "You don't worry about my house.
Yeah,
It
he
works."
said kitchen.
Yeah, kitchen.
Yeah.
So
Things take time.
it takes time.
Yeah. And money.
And money. So this we made just a little bit bigger. It was like this, and we had it come out to here, just so we could have the bench put in, so we still would have shower room. And this was our last year's project. Was it last year?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we pick a project each year. We try to modernize it to get it where it's going. And then we got the dining. This is our sitting room, which we haven't touched. All we did in here was nothing.
That's interesting.
Yep, we kept. And you would have loved that one in there. I'm telling you, it was gorgeous. And so
That's really cool.
the ceiling, you see how it curves in? It's not a flat ceiling. And something else that was in this house, I won't tell you where it is, but we found out after they broke in. There's a safe in this house. Yeah. There is a safe in this house. I'm
They
like,
just left.
they left it. Well, it was
Right.
opened.
Yeah, I think it came with the house.
No, it was built in.
Built into
It's
the
built
house,
in,
right.
but we found it when they broke in. We looked in the closet and they said, there's a safe in the house? And it was open. I'm like, well, whoever came knew what they was looking for. But
It's kind of the same way when you go to hotels. You know, it's built into the wall.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And so we gonna redo this one in time, and we think this one got changed, and that's why they put the mounting on it. This is not. I think they picked this one up and got it because this one didn't have.
It didn't match.
It didn't match, and it did because it wasn't crystal. But it's brass.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What's our time looking like, Costin?
15
Minutes. So we'll take you outside.
Okay. Andy?
Security system, yeah.
I saw the little
So when it
camera.
came, they broke in this door, so we had to redo it to get a steel door. So the original door is not here. When we first moved in, they had broken this door. So this we put out here just so we could have something to be able to sit in with family and enjoy. So our next step is to have this. And I start working on it. I put fern back here, and I want this concrete so I can have more room.
I think they measured it out to be 13 by 16.
Before we
So
run
if
into
you-
our tree.
We wanted to come up, have pavers put out here, and so we can put another little gazebo out. We have a fire pit that we kind of want to use sometime, when the weather get cool.
Back here's where we want the fence to go. We want the fence to go around here because, like I say, every time I do something, I come. If you come over here,
This side we only want to come up so high because you got these openings down here. They're so high.
so you make that higher. But if you look up right here, this is the awning that comes off the bedroom. You come up down there.
Oh, wow.
This comes off. You see that black? That's where that leak was. That leak came all the way down there.
So you have a porch off your bedroom?
Yep, there's a porch off our bedroom, and then we had the awning that comes off. So that's where we kind of hide out. So this is where we're starting to scrape, and we paint these windows up here. These are my rose bushes that are finally blooming up rose bushes. Before, the first person who lived here used to have rose bushes all around, and then somebody dug them out. We don't know why. And so then this used to be hedges up here. We took them out so that we could be able to have flowers in it. And this is where we're gonna put flowers. We go up here. Be careful because we had a tornado years ago and it took this tree out. But we keep filling it, but for some reason it keeps giving in. But this is what we get ready to redo. And I just pulled those out, husband. I don't know why they came
grow
back so
fast.
quick.
They
Yeah.
grow back fast.
So, and these are gonna be Black Eyed Susan, and
Yeah, these will be pretty once they
this
bloom.
is milk. It makes butterflies come.
Milkweed?
Yep. So I keep them. And so we had dug those and put all these around here so they can keep going. And now I can't keep up with her because she runs circles around. But she does really good. So I took some of those out and put here. And sent them out. And then I put these around here so they could fill up because of the roots of the tree. It was just so hard to keep something in them. So this is our little debut. So no, we'll fill those up with flowers, but we'll finish scraping and painting this, and then we'll go up and scrape and paint those. Those are storm windows, but we'll still do them.
Well, it's an awesome house, really.
It's
Um, It's awesome. We would like to get some photos of it, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, just some of the, the
In or out?
both,
Oh, okay. That's fine.
if that's okay. Yeah. Okay, and then
So you're on your own now, right?
we need to do like a closing thing.
Okay. So,
So
what
maybe-
you want to do? You want to sit down and do because your tape is gonna run out.
Okay, we'll just sit down, I guess.
Unless you stop it, because your tape is gonna run out. Because
No,
you only
it's-
got
no,
about
it's still
15
going.
minutes.
So we just want to confirm, get like the vocal consent to use the interview and the photos. Yes. And what else? Thank you for doing the interview. It was great. And we want to invite you to the Finney Library every Friday for the next 3 weeks. On Fridays from noon to 4, we have a community review. So like.
You don't
So-
have to be there from noon to 4.
No,
Just-
no. It's just open to the public, and so we can talk to the people, get their input, and you can hear more about the project.
Oh, okay.
Also, the final exhibition for all the stuff is on July 21st at Finney Library. July
We
21st.
won't be here. July 21st. We won't be here.
Okay. Well, yeah.
We're
just
going on vacation.
We'll be in Grice at that time.
Oh, awesome. So again, thank you for the interview. I
welcome.
think we're
You're
good.
welcome. Thanks for having us.
And thanks for being persistent, man. Now, where's that